it continues. Hello there, friend. Welcome back to Max's Writing Advice Q&A. In tonight's episode, I have a selection of questions sent by viewers just like you and picked by a random number generator. Before I go anywhere, allow me to remind you, as always, that the following is merely just my advice, my opinion, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel, instead take it as the ramblings of a silly person who looks a little bit, or rather precisely, like this. You know the drill. 3 questions, 3 minutes a pop. Let's dive right in. The first question goes a little bit like this. What are your suggestions on how to include a constructed language into a story? For example, Elvish with Lord of the Rings. And have you ever tried doing a story with one? Timer! Start! Right off the bat, have I tried having something like, I'm going to assume that what you mean by constructed, you mean like your very own created language? Have I done that in a book? No! Not yet. I guess I just haven't really been in a situation like that. But I do have some advice as to how to make it a little bit more effective. One of the primary issues that I have in particular regarding, I don't want to say made up, but languages that are not, I guess, human languages in fiction, is that the easiest way, and I hate to use the L word, lazy, is to just have it be a language in which this symbol corresponds to this letter of the alphabet. I kind of don't like that. I've never been a fan of that. I would like to recommend you even to look up documentaries on dead tongues or linguistics in general. It will give you a nice scope into how language actually works. Yeah, I know that it sounds like a lot of work, and nobody's likes to do a lot of work in, but honestly, like the idea of a fantasy language that is one-to-one with English, it has always bothered me. And really, as someone who, speaks the languages and speaks them fluently, like I can assure you that changing from one to the other is like changing gears and the way your brain works. It's not a matter of just one-to-one. If all that you want is to have like a cool looking language, where people can actually just like type in their name and get, all these runes, I get that, then that would be cool. But if what you're looking for is to create a nice, interesting language that feels like a real language that people are actually speaking, I would like to urge you to, do a little bit of research. Don't Google how to make your own fantasy language, because I don't think that will get you anywhere. Look up documentaries on how linguistics work. If you know a friend who happens to be a linguistics major, ask them. They'll fill your ear with tons of interesting facts that you may have never found otherwise. Anyways, the next question is actually 2 questions, but I've pushed them together because they're basically the same question, so they go a little bit like this. How do you either ask/make a cover for your book? Like, how do you know which layout would be good for your story? Because I've been struggling to figure out what I should do for a front cover. Also, this came from a different viewer, by the way. Do you make your own covers? If so, how? 3 minutes on the clock. Get set, go! Do I make my own covers? I don't. I mean, I could. I think I have enough knowledge now if I want to make something minimalistic. But no, I commission an artist to do so. Their artist is Plakesworth. YouTube.com/Plakesworth. He has speed paints of his work there. It shows you how he does his process, and he also puts really funny music to all of his videos. Anyways, let's talk about covers for a second, okay? So, how do I know which layout? Well, I have found during my experience that working with Plague is a lot like going on an adventure. You never really know what you're gonna get. Plakesworth is a wild guy with a lot of wild ideas, so I give him a lot of freedom. Now, what I do know is that what you should do, first and foremost, is consider what genre your book is, what genre it falls under. Fantasy, romance, and so on. Basically, you want to look at the people you're going to be competing against. Basically, go on Amazon. Or, even better, go to your local bookstore and just go and look at all the books. Take pictures of the covers, look at the ones that you think are cool, that you like, look at the ones that you think are terrible, and take pictures of those so you know what you shouldn't be doing. Do your research. Look at them, inspect them, analyze them. And when you have all of this stuff, maybe you can even play around them on Photoshop, move pieces around, even make like a mock-up. Ask yourself, what do I want my cover to look like? Do I want it to, fall upon the same ideas as these other covers, or these other covers, minimalistic, extra detail, classical, and so on. Make notes, make lots of notes, make a mock-up, stuff like that really helps. And then, you're gonna have to do the thing that nobody likes to do. Unless you're an artsy person, like some of the really cool people I follow on Twitter, you're probably gonna have to reach out to someone else. And that means talking to people. I know it sucks, but you have to reach out, because otherwise your book is not gonna get a cover. So what I recommend, is that communication is key in all relationships. What I think you should first do is reach out to this person, probably through the most professional medium necessary. You know, don't send them, don't tweet at them, for the love of God. Don't tweet at somebody. Don't send them a Tumblr message, email them, unless they don't have an email, in which case Tumblr may actually work. Send them an email asking them what they think, you know, if they would be interested in doing something like this. Put the ball on their court, and if they say yes, then you relay to them all of the information that you have gathered, all of your thoughts, maybe all of your mock-ups, and tell them, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm trying to do, what do you think? Again, as with all relationships, communication is key. I don't think this is an ultimate solution for any sort, for all artists you're gonna be talking with, because everyone is different. But if you come in with all of your information, with your expectations on the right place, and you relay yourself and what you think clearly, if you do all of those things, I think everything is gonna be just fine, seriously. One more thing before I go, just one more really quick thing, because the timer went off screen. One more thing. I would like to urge you, and this is, by the way, the following is a complete bias judgment call, okay? Really complicated, detailed covers are not very effective in the world that we live in nowadays, because most of the time your product is gonna be this size on Amazon or this size on like Wattpad. You should probably, from my point of view, I would recommend steering towards minimalism, or at least big, bold images that can be seen even when the cover is like an inch by an inch. Just my thoughts, just what I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, it is all just taste. I would prefer something that looks good even when it's small than something that is really complicated, that is just gonna look like as much of colors when, you know, Amazon puts it on the list of books, you know? And now for the final question of the day, which is a question that's really interesting. It's an unusual question, if you know what I'm saying. But the question is not really about the question, so let's dive right in. How would you write a gory scene of someone getting bitten by a zombie? How would you play with words and write emotions of people who are watching the bitten person die? Same as what the character who's getting bitten feels. I know this question is unusual, but I hope it gets picked. Love you. I love you too. Now, this question, it's a bit of an odd question. It really is. And to just merely answer this question would be a disservice to all of you, because this question is not really about the question. This question is, how can I write something realistically? I don't know what it's like to be bitten off. How can I write it effectively? How can I make it be gory, but also have it be resonating with the reader, showing thoughts and feelings and emotions? How can I do X when I haven't experienced X? How can I do Y when I have no idea what it would be like? All those questions, completely understandable. Ignore them. Ignore every single one of them. Because the reality is this, okay? Zombies don't exist. And even if you were to go around and find the one person in the universe who has been bitten by someone else with rabies and understands what it's like to have their head bitten off by a zombie, it doesn't matter. You know why? Because that person's experience is unique to them, and anyone who hasn't actually also been bitten by a zombie won't actually be able to relate because they haven't experienced it. Now, writing is not about relaying things realistically. That's not how writing works. Writing is not about telling it how it is, being true to it. No, writing is about immersion. Immersion is the smoke and mirrors of writing. It is the illusion that what you're experiencing right now is real. Just like movies, just like music, books allow the reader, the viewer, the player, the watcher to be immersed in the world, to be submerged in the act of storytelling, and forget for a little while that what they're reading are words on the page. It's a real image that they're seeing, and the real things that they're feeling, and real words they are hearing. It is immersion through which we achieve this magic. Now I know what you're asking, Max, how can I do this? How can I make my story immersive? So no matter whatever I'm writing about, people are going to be in there following me along. It's way easier than you think. It is way easier than you think. In my opinion, the key to an immersive story is twofold. First, no matter whatever you're writing, whether it is being bitten by a zombie or a first kiss or shooting fireballs out of your fingertips, whatever you're writing about, write it clearly. Write it clearly so that the reader knows exactly what you're telling them. They never stop to question what they're reading because they don't understand what you're trying to say. Be clear, relay your thoughts in the clearest way possible. And also, point number 2, make sure that the tone of this moment stays the same throughout. That what you're saying at the beginning and at the end resonate with the exact same feelings and emotions. The last thing you want is to have a moment such as, if you have played 999, you will know. There's a scene in the video game 999 in which a character, their stomach explodes and guts and all that good stuff is spilling outwards. And the narrator of the story at that point describes the innards of this person as being like spaghetti. And I can tell you right now that food is the most effective way of making something gory not gory. Because when I read that, I just got hungry. Whenever I tell people this, it usually follows with another question. Max, how can I make sure that my story is clear and also maintains the same tone throughout? Because if I don't get those right, the story is not gonna be immersive. You already know. You watch my videos, you already know what the answer is. Revision is your friend. Seriously, the answer for this is always the same. All of those writers, who wrote those scenes that struck you emotionally, they didn't write them like that in the first draft. They were probably terrible. They wrote them, they let them sit, they picked the story back up, reading it as though they were a new person, and edited it to make it the best story possible. They used revision to their advantage, and so can you. So, dear writerly friend, you don't know what it's like to be bitten off, to have an arm be bitten off by a zombie? Neither do I. Neither does anybody, I hope. But it's not about what it feels, it's about making us immersed. So even if we haven't experienced something, we can feel that we have. Dear writerly friend, how do you write someone being bitten off by a zombie? How do you write someone experiencing their first kiss? How do you write about someone shooting fireballs out of their fingertips? The answer for that is very simple. Make the scene as immersive as possible. Be clear, relay your thoughts in the clearest way possible so the reader never stops to question whatever is happening. Also maintain the same tone throughout, so the reader never stops to realize, wait a minute, why is it suddenly funny or happy when this was a really clearly sad scene? The last thing you want is the reader to feel like laughing in the middle of, the main character being taken away by zombies. All of these things, though, can be fixed during the revision draft. If you are, at this very moment, still concerned and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know how to write this, don't question it. Just dive in, get inside that character's head, if it's first person view. Otherwise, show us how they're feeling. Let us hear their words. Put us in their shoes and bring the camera as close as you want. Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. Don't doubt yourself. Be as harsh as you have to be. Show us what's happening there. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, revision is there for you. Okay? Okay. And with that question out of the way, that pretty much wraps up today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that if anything, I gave you another point of view. For the time being, if you have questions of your own, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I would love to hear what you have to say, as well as your thoughts on the questions that were answered today. Do you have your very own point of view? Feel free to let us all know. And for the time being, I want to thank you for watching, thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me, and I'll see you on the next one.